Are we good, Alex?
Yep, you're good to go.
Thank you. Welcome everyone to the May 3rd, 2002 meeting of Manhattan Community Board 6 Environment and Parks Committee. My name is Kevin O'Keefe and I am the chair of this committee. This meeting is called to order at 7:02 p.m. New York time. Tonight we are joined by Community Associate Alex Crawford. And members of the public, you can raise your questions or comments that you have through the Q&A feature of Zoom. If there is time following the committee's discussion, we will field questions from the public. Raj has volunteered to take minutes at tonight's meeting. We thank Raj. You all should have received an email from the board office with a link to a Doodle sign-up sheet for minutes takers at your committee meetings in 2022. And for your convenience, the link to that sign-up sheet is being posted in the chat. We will now take attendance by roll call, and Alexander Crawford will conduct that call.
Committee members, I will call your name and you unmute yourselves. When your name is called, please say present. I will announce if there is quorum. Marty Barrett.
I'm sorry, Marty is excused for this evening.
Okay. Matt Bondi. Claire Brennan.
Present.
Jeannie D'Onofrio.
Present.
Paige Judge.
Present.
Anton Malner. Anton.
Present.
Raj Nayar.
Present.
Kevin O'Keefe.
Present.
You said Reshma is might not come tonight. Dean Stephanides.
Present.
You said Mark Thompson is running late. Maura Wong.
Present.
And Letty Simon.
Present, and happy birthday, Paige.
Thank you. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Paige.
Thank you.
Is it
We
today?
have a quorum, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Wonderful.
Happy
Thank you.
birthday, Paige.
Thank you.
Happy
Thank God.
birthday.
Great. 21 again, hopefully.
Happy birthday.
Good
It's
age.
eternal.
Thanks. Thank you, everybody.
The agenda for tonight's meeting was distributed ahead of time by the board office. It appears on the screen before you. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda as stated. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting this agenda, you may raise your hand through Zoom. Seeing no objection, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. Now, the minutes from the April 5th committee meeting were distributed ahead of time. If there is no objection, we will adopt these minutes as drafted. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting these minutes, you may raise your hand through Zoom. Do not see any hands, so seeing no objections, the minutes from the April 5th committee meeting are adopted and will soon be available on the Community Board 6 website. In addition, since the minutes from the March 1st committee meeting are still being drafted, they will be adopted at a later meeting. Now, in order to conduct an efficient meeting, let's observe a few ground rules. Number one, no one may speak until granted the floor. Two, committee members, if you have a question about committee business or wish to make a motion, please raise your hand through Zoom. Three, the chat function should not be used for committee business or questions about agenda topics. All such remarks should be made on the record by raising your hand through Zoom. Chat should only be used to alert us to any technical difficulties you are having and to state in writing information such as an email address that was already stated aloud on the record during the meeting. Now, when a committee member is given the floor to speak, I will identify you and you can then unmute yourself so that you can then speak. Fifth and last, we are required by New York State law to have a transcript of the meeting, so please keep your questions and comments succinct and germane to the discussion. I'll try to do the same. Now, before, I want to see is Mark Thompson on? I do not see. Okay, I just want to see. Hey, greetings, Dean. I just want to take a quick time out and recognize a longtime supporter of this committee's Community Board 6 Transportation Committee Chair Jean Santoro. Yesterday, many of us heard the numbing news that Jean has passed away. I think we're buoyed by some good memories that go on for many years for many of us. This includes intercommittee collaboration that Gene initiated. This collaboration certainly gave me the fortune of speaking with Gene many times, where I learned from him many ways about how to work to make our community better. Because of Gene's commitment to community work, perhaps many did not know that he was deeply respected in many other pursuits. He had been a working musician, a guitarist, had even jammed with his childhood hero, Keith Richards. He was a Fulbright scholar and an acclaimed author of several books, and for many leading national outlets, a film, jazz, and pulp cultural journalist. We thank you, Gene, for so much. Rock on, Gene. Tonight, we start our agenda with a presentation by the Friends of Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza. This is the 5th community group we have invited to this committee since we started these invitations to learn what's on the mind of each group's members as it relates to any of this committee's scope: environment, parks, cultural affairs, and landmarks. The plaza is on about 1.5 acres on the south side of East 47th Street between First Avenue and Second Avenue, and includes the Katharine Hepburn Garden. The Friends of Group was started nearly 30 years ago and became a 501c3 nonprofit in 1997. We'll give the Friends of Group 4 minutes, followed by any questions or comments from the public or committee members. Kim Baker is here on behalf of the organization. Kim, you have the floor for 4 minutes.
Thank you. I'll make this as fast as I can. My name is Kim Baker. I'm here representing Friends of Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza and our concern about Dag's Plaza. We are working with the Turtle Bay Association and other community groups, including adjacent buildings, to coordinate our efforts. I want to firstly thank CB6 for pushing to replace lights in the plaza, which were off much of last summer. We hope bright lighting this year at Dag's will reduce bad behavior. We have commitments that security cameras will be installed and would ask this to be fast-tracked, as we know it is critical to good policing of this area. In discussion with the 17th precinct after the recent stabbing at Dag's Plaza, the police relied on cameras from across the street to get footage of the incident. This is unsafe and warrants immediate action. Cameras could reduce intravenous drug usage, defecation, sex, and sleeping in the garden areas and fountains. In the event of a crime, the police would be able to identify those involved. Can CB6 help here to get this accomplished as soon as possible? Sheltered population burdens. The overarching issue we come to CB6 about is how the neighborhood and Dag's Plaza can shoulder an increasing homeless and sheltered population without financial support from the city. We all believe in safe housing, shelter, and rehabilitation, but remain concerned how a facility currently housing 150 mental health patients will impact the community as they plan to double capacity to 300 residents. How do and will these residents impact the neighborhood? None of the presentations regarding this expansion on the 45th Street Women's Shelter have focused on what happens to the neighboring streets, public spaces, parks, and businesses with an increased population of mental health patients. Not to mention the plan to expand a street-facing walk-in clinic that will draw more people in need of care to the neighborhood. At Dag's Plaza, our nonprofit barely raises enough money from our neighbors to clean the current volume of garbage, mattresses, condoms, human feces, liquor bottles, and needles left in the plaza and garden from the current population. How can we absorb more? We need CB6 to assist us in finding the money to clean up after the current and proposed shelter population on a guaranteed basis, so the plaza and garden can be safely used by the entire community, including children. There are days when our volunteers barely have time to pick up needles in front of children who are walking down the path of the garden. This is an unsafe condition. We have proven that a part-time custodian makes a dent, but we need full-time coverage. $80,000 to $120,000 per year is our estimate to make this feasible, which comes to less than $34 per month per resident at the Project Renewal Shelter. We think this is a reasonable commitment to the community to prevent further degradation of the nearest park space to the shelter. With the enthusiasm of the city to convert more hotels to shelters, we are concerned as we look at the concentration of hotels in Midtown and ask, how can we in Midtown absorb more and more of this population? We ask CB6 to recognize the critical nature of Dags Plaza to the neighborhood and to help steer resources to maintain it as a safe and clean outdoor space that anchors the community. On an infrastructure front, we understand from Parks that the $2+ million allocated for the plaza reconstruction will not cover the costs of both the above ground crumbling infrastructure and the below ground plumbing throughout the plaza and its many water features. Department of Parks will resubmit amended designs focused on plumbing throughout the plaza as phase 1 of the reconstruction of the plaza. This approval process will take months to complete and will result in a season 3 with no operational fountains. We need the city and parks to come up with a plan to prevent Dags fountains from becoming latrines and or beds over the summer again. Last year, the fountains were used alternately as toilets or sleeping areas after we cleaned them out. What can be done here? We look to you for your leadership and support in partnership. Thank you.
Kevin, you're muted.
Thank you for pointing that out. I have 3 children in the background. I don't want you to hear their back and forth. Thank you, Kim, for that. Your timing may be good here. Not to put her on the spot, but Sheena Kaufman is on here from NYC Parks. And I know that with the new administration's focus on safety, crime, homeless encampments, et cetera, there was a meeting yesterday, I don't think I'm speaking out of term, that Sheena was a part of that included precinct captains, commanders, and other officers throughout the city to address this. Sheena, do you want to talk about that for a little? And because I know there's some next steps that you're already doing there, putting together a report, which I was happy to hear about this morning.
Yes, well, as I hear along, you know, a lot of people complain about DAG. That would be one of my areas I'll add to the report. I'm just getting information from from different people because I haven't been in this area too long. So from what I see, DAG is one of the problematic areas with the homelessness and people doing incorrect things. So I would add that to it. The meeting was to me was a success. We met with all of the precincts via Zoom for the entire borough, and they wanted us to send our concerns to them so they can be better, to better serve us, coming this summer and throughout the year, So DAG is the #1 area that is going to be on the list because I think that's where most of the problems are at to what I'm hearing. So I'll add it to the list to make sure that we can better address that area. And we're working on better cleaning method as well at DAG because hopefully with the seasonal funding, we're able to hire enough people to be able to take care of the area, much better than was done in the past.
If thank you, Sheena. If anybody who, either Kim or any other members on board on Friends of DAG or any other public members or community members have questions, you can certainly raise your hand virtually and I can acknowledge you. I do see Ann Hirsch's actual hand raised. You can unmute yourself if you have a question.
I just wanted to add that as Director of Development and as a founder of Friends more than 20 years ago, that the park is long overdue for a renovation. And I'm very concerned that if it's piecemealed out, that what will end up would be a construction fence around this park for years, when it is really the anchor of the community as the largest park, the largest public garden for Midtown East Manhattan. And to shortchange it, I believe would be a huge mistake for Manhattan and for the community, for the United Nations, for the image that the park represents. And so I'm asking Community Board 6 to really help us out here to marshal the funds and the resources to do this thing right. We can't be piecemealing it. It will never work. And it will just be out into time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ann, and thank you for your founding of the organization. I know all the good work you've done. I know that and I should let everybody else know, because everybody should try to be there, that the Friends of Group is again organizing a special garden event on May 14th, on actually Catherine Hepburn's birthday week. There will be a free public garden party with live music, refreshments, and garden tours. This is a recurring event that started in 1997 when the community dedicated the garden to Ms. Hepburn. At the time, Catherine Hepburn was a neighborhood resident who had long fought to keep trees and sunlight in Turtle Bay. So again, we hope you spread the word. This is being organized again by the Friends of Group with the Turtle Bay Association as co-host. One of the reasons, Ann and Kim, that we started talking to community groups is that we are in the basis now. We're going to touch on it a little bit on our committee agenda tonight. We do put in requests for fiscal year budgets, capital budgets, that a lot of this out of this committee goes to parks and how that money should be spent. We will talking that within the committee tonight. It's certainly anybody can listen in and make comments, but if that's something that everybody here has heard this, if we feel it needs to be raised and make sure it's a capital project that needs to be done in whole or not in parts, it sounds like you've come to the right place. Now, we don't control the city budget. We don't control, a council member's budget. There's only so much we can do. We're not a legislative body, but we can advise. We can advise to our elected officials, and I think we're pretty effective at doing so and have a track record, at least in my time as chair, of trying to get things done and then accomplishing some of them. So please keep that in mind. Does any member of the committee or any member of the public have any questions for the Friends of Group? I'm looking also for any, Alexander, if you see any. I don't see any from the public, although there may be some in chat.
There's one person in the public who has their hand raised.
Okay, to speak or for you to read their comment?
I believe to speak.
Then fine, let's give, do you have a name associated?
Yeah, Marie Louise.
Marie Louise, you have the floor.
I had to unmute. Okay. I just want to reinforce Ann Hirsch's suggestion. I want to give you some history very briefly. That park was a nightmare of a shanty town before the 1990s renovation. I'm the chair of the Turtle Bay Association Parks Committee. We created the Parks Committee and I became the chair back then, when we were finally getting that first renovation to be done. And the problem was mainly caused by the fact that the public was not going into the park anymore, and the problems caused the public to even go in less, and suddenly it became a nightmare. We need to minimize the blocking the public from being in that park. It is an anchor location for keeping this neighborhood in better shape in terms of crime, in terms of everything, because if people are in the park, they're in the neighborhood, they're shopping more. And I don't need to tell you, you guys understand what I'm saying, but I don't know if people understand how completely that park is an anchor for keeping this neighborhood in shape and minimizing the burden on the city's budget too, because we take care of ourselves as long as we've got the space. And families, we don't want our families to move out. They're just beginning to tiptoe back now after the pandemic. We need to clean things up and get the renovations done and keep it open as much as possible. And so I depend on the Friends to really know how to do that. So I hope that we can all take this very seriously. So thank you for your time.
Well, thank you for your time, and thank you to the Turtle Bay Association and all the good work that you do to make the community a more livable place. Appreciate it. And I look forward to coming up to the garden for your party, your free party, which is wonderful. I know you have some performers coming, and looking forward to it.
We have a
Thank
great
you.
band coming, a great vocalist. Read the press release.
We'll do so.
Good music.
Any May 14th, rain dates, what, 15th?
Yes, yes.
Is there anyone else that has questions before we do move on to our number 2 agenda item? I'll give you a couple minutes. And Alexandra, I do not see any other public comments
I
or
do
questions,
not.
correct?
I do not either. Yeah.
Okay. Again, thank you to the Friends of Dag Hammarskjöld Plaza. We actually were going to have as you know, a presentation by NYC Parks on an upcoming proposed art exhibit. That will probably happen at the next committee meeting, which will be the first Tuesday of June. So maybe you want to come back while that is being discussed. You're happy, you're welcome, and we're happy to have you aboard the rest of the meeting or any part of it. But again, thank you for being here. Agenda item number 2 is a report from the NYC Department of Parks and Recreation. Joining us this evening is the aforementioned Sheena Kaufman. Sheena is new, semi-new still. I know you've been here for a little while, but still new to the district. Sheena has a lot on her plates. I'm one of those who constantly say that Parks is underfunded, it deserves a lot more. Sheena, we appreciate all that you do and all that you juggle. You now have the floor for a report.
Okay, good evening, everyone. Okay, so the construction for the Bellevue South Park project has been pushed back to May 23rd. So we're going to we're trying to make a way to leave the pathway and the door run open. It hasn't been confirmed yet. As soon as we have that information, I'll just send it to the community board to let you know if we were able to do so. But the commissioner is trying real hard to get it done, him and Steve. This week, the city has held, it's called the Swarm, where different, the CCC program that the mayor, the former mayor had put together. All of the agencies are coming together to clean up different areas, you know, street trees, mulching, cleaning, and we're doing it in our parks. We're doing various areas, the Turtle Bay area and Kips Bay area we're doing. We did Deadmo Park today in East 51st Street. And we tomorrow we're doing Vincent Alvaro. We're gonna clean down the playground equipment and repaint the hand wall and mulch, inside the park and outside the park. We cleaned out our Stuyvesant area and we did some weeding on Monday. The weather was pretty bad, so we just did some minor housekeeping on Monday. Because I'm dealing with this program this week, I wasn't able to check to see if actually opened. It's supposed to have opened on Monday. So I'll be down there tomorrow and I'll shoot the community board an email with a few pictures, letting you know if it's everything has been restored and given back to the community. On May 9th, we're going to be hosting an event with Kevin and the rest of some of the members of the community board for the St. Martin's Garden. So we're looking forward to that. I spoke to Jennifer and Kelly Ann this morning, and we got some news that we are able to do some uplifting decorums inside the garden. And hopefully our planting materials will be able to come through before next week so they can be able to plant. And other than that, I don't have anything else. If anybody has anything, I'm willing to take any questions.
Thank you, Sheena. I do have a couple myself, and then I see at least one hand raised. Stuyvesant Square, and I know there's still some concerns there. First of all, with the lighting that I think was I thought that that was already being fixed. Do we know the status of those lights for safety purposes?
They haven't gotten back to me yet. I'll look into it again with, see if DOT has made their decision on, when they'll be able to, increase the lighting over there and add additional lighting if they're able to. I haven't gotten a response. They take a while to respond, but I'll check back in with our coordinator for our lights within the box, within the borough of Manhattan. I'll check with him again today.
Thank you. It was my understanding that those lights had already, the DOT had already approved that work to happen. Is that correct?
Yeah, but to my understanding, you're absolutely right. But when they're going to start, I do not know. They didn't give an exact date. I will try to find out the exact date if they are able to provide me with one.
Okay, thank you. I do have another question, but I will let first of all, any members of the committee that do have questions, this will be a time to raise your virtual hand. If not, Claire, go ahead. Claire Brennan, you have the floor.
Hi, thanks, Kevin. And hi, Sheena. Thank you for being here. Just following up on Stuyvesant Square, I had asked about irrigation last time and was wondering if you had any update on that as we're entering the warmer months. And thanks.
And that was my second question. So thank you, Claire.
So we're working on that. I've been in touch with Phyllis. We've been working on trying to rectify that problem. Hopefully it'll be soon. They haven't given me an exact date. I think they're waiting for a piece. That was the last conversation that we had to be able to make the necessary repairs. And the water cut on. So they're working on the water cut on, throughout the city. And like everybody, they're a little short staffed and, they're working as hard as they can to get it done.
Well, we recognize there could be dead. We could recognize there could be dead plantings, correct? If that is not, I think that is truly an issue. Is that it? Okay.
Yeah, they're trying their hardest to work, to get everything cut on because, everybody wants to be first. And I don't, all I can do is send them the emails and let them know that we're still waiting. It's not, this is not the only location. It's other locations that, is having the same problem. So we're trying to rectify the problem as soon as possible. So I'll shoot them another email this evening, asking them again when they're able to do so.
Okay, thank you. We do have a question from Elisa DeVito. When will there be a replacement for the wonderful gardener at Stuyvesant Square Park and DAG Plaza?
Well, I was surprised, as everybody was surprised that she's being promoted for the season. So she's, with that promotion comes her being relocated to a different area. I do not know when they're going to give us a replacement, but it's soon because me and Mark was mentioning, to our chiefs to find out when a replacement is going to be, we're going to be able to replace Maria with someone else. So
Maria got a
I'm not quite
promotion?
sure. Yes, she did.
That's the news.
Okay.
Well, I knew she had gone for a job, but I didn't know she got it. Well, yes, we have to have a gardener.
We have another question, and it's regarding, looks like Stuyvesant Square as well. It's from Robert. It says, just like DAG Plaza fountains, what about Stuyvesant Park fountains? West Fountain has been out of commission for several years, and East Fountain, who knows what?
Well, we also spoke about the fountains. I think the West Fountain was the one that was a major concern. We're waiting for a piece. We haven't gotten it as of yet, and as soon as that's done, they can be able to make the necessary repairs. I also I also sent that to Phyllis as well. Because she sent me an email regarding that. But as soon as it's made available, we're going to be able to do so.
Okay, thank you for answering that. I don't see any more committee questions, but I do see that Ann Hirsch's hand is raised. Is that for this round?
Yeah, just quickly, Shana, first, thank you for helping us to get our irrigation on and deal with those fountain repairs. When you're talking about this mobile crew going around, is that the usual mobile crew that is now post-COVID been reactivated? Because we're having an increase of graffiti problems in the park, and the graffiti, when it's on the fountain, on the granite, you can't just paint over it, and you have to be careful of the solvent, or you have problems with the staining the stone. So is there do you have a team that does that?
We do have a team to remove graffiti. And no, we will not paint the granite. We won't do that. But this is a separate group. This is that group that's going around for this week. It's only Monday through Friday. It started off Monday, kicked off Monday, and ended it will end Friday. But the graffiti, we're going to try to work on veteran, to remove the graffiti. It's happening all over. It's not only at DAG, but it's all over that we're getting this graffiti problem. So we're going to address it as it comes up, but it's been a lot. It's been a lot more than we can manage. It's happening at the Suttons and various areas along the East River Esplanade. So we're looking to be able to rectify that as much as we can.
And I know, thank you, Sheena, because I know you worked with the precinct over the weekend. The FDR underpass on 37th Street between First Avenue and the East Side Esplanade, was the graffiti's gone, the lighting is up, it's clean. It was a wonder to walk through there without any, issues. So I know you were involved in that. Thank you.
Yes, we're looking to better serve everybody with that. The police has been definitely helpful and definitely getting in touch with DOT to be able to help us remove the graffiti and stay on top of the cleaning. And we're going to try our best, to keep the area clean. It's very difficult to do at times, but working with Raul Rodriguez is very, it's been a help. He's been helpful in helping us make sure that things get done. And they lock it at night.
This is the community affairs officer for NYPD for the district.
NYPD. They lock it at nighttime, and we open it in the morning. So it's been working. So far, it's been working. But when we're not there, they still go inside the graffiti. But the cleanup went well this past weekend. It went really well. It looks good.
Great. And again, that meeting that you had, I guess this was an initiative from Mayor Adams that you're talking to the precinct leaders. That's really right to address crime and safety. Was that the main gist of that?
That's within our parks here, because they met with us with it, for our park issues. Yes, it was. It was.
Good.
It was an important meeting to have, and we did do it. And it's and we are happy that they're able to help us address some of the issues that's going on in our parks.
Good. And I think there's a parcel of park. It's semi-parkland, although Stuyvesant Town also has something to do with it. On 20th Street, outside of a restaurant on 20th and 1st, there is a garden. This committee had approved a resolution to have that garden restored. It has been, and I know there was a homeless encampment out there that was blocking the sidewalk, so people couldn't get to the bus and couldn't really use the sidewalk without going into the street. Keith Powers reported just before this meeting that that has been cleared, and that the NYPD is aware that it should remain clear. That's important because, again, safety concerns, especially when people are running or even walking to the bus. We don't want them walking into the street around the encampment, and that walking on the street means walking in the bus lane. So it seems to think there's a lot of things brewing. I did listen, as Sheena did, to the mayor's budget speech. He did talk about improving crime and safety as the two biggest, if not the biggest issues and related issues. So let's all hope for some noticeable changes in that area. Thank you, Sheena. That's all I think we have on that. So I will go on to a next exciting agenda item.
Kevin, sorry, Valerie Beal has her hand raised.
Oh, I didn't see that. Go ahead. I don't see it, but I trust you and whoever. How come I'm not seeing that? But go ahead. You have the floor. Valerie? Oh, you have a question inside of, is it Q&A? Not a hand? Or is it a hand?
She had both a hand and a question.
Oh, okay. So then definitely you have the floor. Again, if this is something we've already discussed, we don't need to rediscuss it, but if it's something new, please go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, good. I'm calling about Stuyvesant Park. If Maria Menendez is not going to be replaced, what happens to the volunteers at the park? We're barely keeping the garden in shape with the 2 mornings we do. If we have to miss volunteer time, the place is going to be overrun. I mean, especially when there's so much rain and the rats are there and stuff like that. And we're the ones that are really keeping it pretty much in shape.
Sheena, you want to address that?
Well, I don't know when they're going to replace her, but I'm sure that we're not going to let the park go down at all. I don't know if they're going to send a replacement, but we do have a horticulture team, so our supervisors as well as myself is around, and if we see the park going in a disarray, we are calling the team. I don't know when and if they're going to replace her, because this was just sprung on me. I'm actually losing both of my gardeners to a promotion. So hopefully I'll get some replacement once she leaves. Until then, we'll have the horticulture team come in and take care of all of the problems that we're having in both 6 and 8.
What exactly does the horticultural team do? Do they weed? Do they take the bindweed down? Do they clip the roses? Do they dig up the weeds? What do they do?
Well, they work in it as a team, as a group, and they do all of that. They weed whack, they plant, they remove weeds. They deal with the horticultural for the borough of Manhattan. And they're also responsible for giving us someone at our big important sites.
That's all very well, but we do it on twice a week, and we manage to keep things fairly clear. But if a week goes by and the weeds are back and the things are in a mess. So we don't.
I second that motion because
thank you. Duly noted, and I know Sheena,
we're gonna work harder. I can't give you the exact date because this is all fresh and new. I'm sure I've already spoken to Mark about getting a replacement for both of the areas, so we don't get backed up in the weeds and cutting and things like that. So I don't think we're going to let it go down. I just have to wait until they appoint someone to both of the areas to backfill both employees.
And Valerie and Ann, the community board will continue to follow up on that as well. We will have an update at the next monthly meeting, but obviously be working on it leading up to that point. So thank you. We're happy to amplify that voice.
But why can't we go in, as we're doing now and keep it in shape? We know what we're doing.
Well, I could say personally, we're talking to the Parks Department all the time about this, about a lot of issues. This is now, I've underlined it 3 times, just wrote it down. So we are going to be bringing it up and with Parks, and I know Parks is going to be trying to follow up. We don't have an answer for you tonight, I guess is the short answer to that question. We're going to move on to the next agenda item. It's an exciting one.
Sorry, Anton.
If I could have the floor, please. Thank you. Can let me have the floor? I appreciate that. Agenda item, if we can just, everybody who is not given the floor, Anton is going to be given the floor, but if anybody who is not, Alexandra, I would like just to be able to, like we said up front, if I call your name, unmute yourself and you have the floor. Anton Molnar, you have the floor.
I'm sorry, Kevin, but what do I have the floor for?
The what?
I didn't have my hand up.
Oh, you did?
I did?
Yeah, you had your hand up. Can
Not on my
somebody
screen.
verify that? Because I swear it was definitely a hand. It was a nice yellow hand. Yes, you did. So we'll move on to that agenda item, which I've been teeing up for a little while. Jeannie, our vice chair, should be on deck here because she's very involved in this. This is the continued discussion of, well, it's really the start of discussion. We started this discussion in the executive committee meeting. And that was the topic of discussion of planning for a proposed community center. And in that executive committee meeting, we agreed that CB6 is ready to reopen planning for such a center. As I mentioned, I would now like to give the floor to our committee vice chair. As going forward, Jeannie will serve as lead from this committee on CB6 planning a community center. Jeannie D'Onofrio, you have the floor.
Thank you, Kevin. So, yeah, so just a light touch tonight. Our committee, Kevin and I talked about this leading up to the meeting. Our committee, this committee, would very much like to be part of the conversation about a community center. There have been, this is not new, this has been underway. There have been different discussions and different committees have been involved. So we want to get involved with the other committees to work with them on a future community center and what that would look like. So community center right now, the way we're looking at it is a generic term. It could be a library with a community center. It could be a senior center. It could be a children's center. It could be all of it together. It could be a large space, a small space. But Kevin and I'm very eager to work with the other committees on learning more about this, what has been done in the past and what we can do to contribute to making this come to fruition.
Thank you so much, Jeannie. This is, we're in the embryonic stage now, but this is, I think, great that these discussions are being rehashed. Any committee members, do you have a question about this agenda item? Okay, we are going to move on to agenda item number 5. That is, agenda item number 4, continued discussion of proposed fiscal year 2024 budget requests. As I had mentioned at our next meeting, or at all the meetings this season, but there's a big meeting coming up on the first Tuesday of June, because that's when we plan to spend most or all of our agenda on these budget requests. We will be looking for 2 things at that meeting. One will be the unanimous votes to keep items on the 2024 budget request list. All other items will be in jeopardy. I'm not saying they're going to be completely taken off, but they're going to be in jeopardy of being taken off the list at that time. We will discuss that more next month. Number 2, we will have a session in June to propose any new items for this list for the 2024 budget requests. With this in mind, going into next month's meeting, please review the air table. In fact, I think Alexandra can pull it up. This is an air table of budget requests. We will have action on this table at that June 7th committee meeting. We do not have to go through it today. I really want us to all be familiar with this more before we make some real decisions on this. Again, I'll remind everyone on the committee, we still have by far the longest list of budget requests in any other committee. Again, I don't think to be taken a little bit more seriously and have these budget items potentially approved, then we need to think about shrinking these down. I know we have in a couple of cases because things have already been taken care of. Without going into it now, NYC Parks has said that it's trying to get some of these taken care of as part of the 2023 fiscal year budget, which was really exciting to hear. So again, that would be wonderful if that's the reason they'll drop off the list. Because of that, I do want to wait one more month, but anyone who wants to talk on committee about budget items, whether you want to propose now one is to be removed, whether you have any new ones that should be added for the community, you certainly have the floor now, but again, I really want to make June to be focused on this item. Alexandra, you have the floor.
I just wanted to remind committee members that you can find the budget requests at the Budget and Governmental Affairs page on the CB6 website. And then once you get to, you can scroll down to the bottom of the page. And then once you get to the budget request, you can filter out just for this committee. And you should see all of them. And I will also, before the next meeting, I'll make sure to send everybody the link to this as well, so that everybody has ample time to review them.
Thank you so much. Jeannie, you have the floor.
Thank you. Just a question, because I can't see it on this, and I'll have to look at this Airtable closely, but looking at these budget items, how do we know if our goal is to remove some, but what is the budget? I mean, if all of these could be taken care of, if I don't have a budget item, or I see an item, but I don't see.
Yeah, thank you for that great question. We will, they will be, the category will change if we know that it's already been taken care of. I will lean on Alexandra to describe possibly how they're reclassified, but we do keep them updated if we know that the project is already been budgeted for or is in the works. Alex, did I explain that?
Yeah, I believe that's the case.
Okay. And as far as, well, how much money do we have we work with? We don't know. We don't know. This is 2024, the 2024 budget. We don't know what parameters there are. And again, we're dealing with different people's budget. We're dealing with city council members' budget. We're dealing with city budgets that are unrelated. They might be agency budgets. So we don't have an answer to how, there's not a certain number that we're trying to reach. And again, Alexandra, I hope that is clear. Is that right? I'll take that as a yes. Maura, you have the floor.
Yes, a quick question. The proposed community center that was just proposed, is that something that we would want to include on this list, or because it's between us and some other committees, we need to look at that in another instance?
Yeah, I think that might be a fiscal year 2025, because
Okay.
what I envision, and Jeannie, don't mean to, step on, your leadership on this particular topic, but I do think we agree that we want to make sure there's a lot of things in place first. I think that the budget that should be approved first possibly is just to get a designer to do a design of it once we have a better handle on where this community center might be. So we wouldn't necessarily be looking to fund the whole project in 2024 fiscal year, if that makes sense. Jeannie, did that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. I mean, there's so many variables right now in the planning stage. So if anything, any budget items will be planning items rather than actual, be studies, bids, all of that before there's any actual construction.
Yeah, and we really want to make sure we do this right, and really talk about needs. And one of the things that we talked about was a community survey. We really want to know what's on the minds of the broad community that we're serving. And so a survey that goes out to enough individuals can help us decide what should there be. Should there be a performance space? Should there be event space? Should there be a library? And there's a lot of things. There should be a senior center, and there's so much that a community center should be, but we don't know what the community necessarily wants, if that makes sense. Okay, I don't see any questions on this. This could potentially be a short meeting. Maybe I don't see all the chat. If there's anything else in Q&A, and Jeannie, thank you for telling me about ones I didn't see. If you see any others, I can address it now, or we can go on to agenda item number 5.
There is one in the chat. There's a question.
Okay, go ahead.
It's from Robert. Reading this one. I heard today that the East Park House at Stuyvesant Square Park was emptied yesterday with 30 to 40 people. What is planned for the East Park House at this point?
We've addressed that previously at previous meetings. If Sheena's on and wants to top line that, but I know we have addressed that already. And we've talked about actually as that being potential, we've talked about that being a potential budget request as well.
The park houses, they're in bad condition, and we are no longer allowed to go inside. We're no longer, able to go inside because the buildings are unsound. We can't have any personnel going inside. The ceiling is not in great condition, and it's possible to fall. So we have to, keep people out of there for their safety. And I don't know when they're going to be able to restore the building back to, operable conditions. But we can't do it now. We cannot let anyone inside because the thought of somebody getting injured or hurt is, not a good thing. It wouldn't be a good thing for the Parks Department.
Thank you, Sheena. And again, the conversation is open for budget requests again for next meeting. So please, all the committee members, please take a good look at that air table. Really think about what we want, even if it's not on that list, what we want. But what I do want is a list that's not so long, if we could, because there's no way that all is going to be budgeted. So let's pick and choose and decide accordingly. I will move on to Chair's report. This is agenda item number 5. I do want to thank all those in the Community District 6 Parks community who put on some great Earth Day related events for the general public. I know I was fortunate to have attended 2 of them. On agenda item number 6, Jeannie, did you just put your hand up?
Oh, I apologize. Just really quick. I'm sorry. It's just if Alexandra could send that to the committee, the link to the air table. I can't, she said, I'm trying to find it on the website. I can't find it. So
Yeah, I will definitely send it around to the committee.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Let's see. Oh, we're on agenda item number 6, which is old or new business. If any member of this committee has any old or new business, please raise your hand after the committee discussion. Well, go ahead. Does anybody have any old or new business? I do not see any. And I will look at chat once more. And thank you, Jeannie, if you see any. If not, I am looking for a motion to.
There is, sorry, there is one thing in chat. There's a statement.
Okay, go
Actually,
ahead.
is it in Q&A? Hold on, I just saw it somewhere.
Okay, where it is, and it's from the public, I assume?
It's from the public, it's in chat.
And it's from, can you state a name of the member of the public and then the comment, please?
Anne, I can't see the last name, and I'll just read it.
Oh, is it Ann Hirsch?
Is this from you? The statement in the chat, I can't see the last name. Hold on, if I can.
Yeah,
Oh,
now
there it
see
is.
it. I now see it.
I got
Ann
my
Hirsch.
2 cents in about the gardener.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So we've already covered that about the gardener and about, okay, what the status is after that promotion.
But will that become part of the record? Because I think I point out very important distinctions between what a gardener does with a volunteer program and what a crew does. You'd have to think completely differently in terms of designing the work for a crew versus a gardener who forms a relationship with a group of people.
Alexander, can we make sure that this this comment and statement from Ann Hirsch is captured for the record? I believe it is as a course of business, but we want to make sure that voice is amplified.
Okay.
Okay, great. So I'm looking now at 7:56 for a motion to adjourn. Thank you, Claire Brennan. It does not need a second. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for those who are friends of DAG that are still here. And good luck with your June 14th events. And we look forward to seeing
May
you.
14th.
Did I say June?
May.
My mind is too much down the road. It is definitely May 14th. It's Catherine Hepburn's.
Yes, I will see you there, Kevin.
It's her birthday week.
As well as all the rest of you. Please come and celebrate.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.